And here we are.
Awesome.
Yay! It is so fun to be with you. So, everybody, this is Carolyn McGee, carolynmcgee.com, here with one of my favorite people in the entire world, Mr. Alan Davidson. Uh,
Hello, everybody.
he is a evolutionary meditation mystic, and I am one of his facilitators. He has been life altering for me as far as being a mentor and also becoming a very good friend. So I'm so honored to have you here, Alan, and share some of your brilliance with everybody so they can get in on the not quite secret that you've got going.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And it's really a privilege to, walk this great path with you. As you know, our world is in a lot of crossroads right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the image in Chinese calligraphy. The, the calligraphy for crisis is two words that are joined together. One is danger, and the other is opportunity.
Ooh.
And so I want, as we begin our time with people today, to think in terms of, yes, these are dangerous times. There are a lot of things that are impacting people in a lot of different ways, in their pocketbook, in their cash flow, in their health, in their sense of well-being, in what's possible for them. So there's absolutely danger in that, but there's also incredible opportunity. And for those of us that are leaders, it is so important for us to step into our own truth, our own soul purpose, our destiny, and lead with compassion and courage and love and lead by example.
Yes, to all of that. It's so powerful to be able to do that and to have experienced your work in how you help people um, kind of filter out the noise. A lot of people know this about me, and you certainly do, having worked with me for so many years, that being grounded and being centered and being in my body and being able to experience all the sensory information that's around me was a challenge. And I know that a lot of people in this group have the same thing. They're highly connected, but they can't feel it in their bodies to be able to trust it. Can you tell us how your work can make a difference with that?
Well, sure, sure. And the way I want to describe it very quickly is, before we are born, before you are incarnated into a baby's body, you are a soul that shines brighter than 10,000 suns. You're the pure light of consciousness itself. And then you have the bright idea that's like, oh, I'm going to incarnate into the earth school and I'm going to, learn a few things. And you get all that light gets squeezed into a baby's body. And then if you're like me, you got into the baby's body and he goes, what the heck was I thinking? Okay. But, and so from that place of infancy, there's that veil of forgetting. We forget where we came from. We forget who we are. And to survive in our world and in our family and in our life, we have to become who our parents and our tribe expect us to be. And so remembering who our true self is unlearning all the things that we were expected to do and to be just to survive and get the love and to succeed in this world. And that's an excruciating process because there's a part of us that knows who we truly are at soul level and who we're truly meant to be in this incarnated life. And so a lot of people are not taught how to actually be in their body. And so reclaiming your authentic self, reclaiming your true self, the first stage that I talk about, there's 5 stages to the mystic's evolutionary journey. And the first one is just being a healthy, happy human. But being a healthy, happy human means being conscious of the body that I live in, being conscious of all the emotions that flow through my body, being aware of my mind and the shall we say, the opportunities of my mind and the shortcomings of my mind, and my discernment, my will, and my spirit, those 5 elements. And so being in a body, and if you think about your own experience, Carolyn, I see people who are terrified to be in their body and the experience of their body. And so they do 2 things. They either move into their mind or they move into their soul. And they spend a lot of time thinking about things, or they spend a lot of time focusing on the ethereal spiritual realms, which are all beautiful skills to have, and they're essential in the evolutionary journey. But if it's not grounded in the body, if it's not grounded in the real world, if it's not grounded in this moment, then it's incomplete. And so living in our bodies is so essential for being and mastering what's available to us in this earth school.
Yeah, and what I realized through working with you was I couldn't manifest because I couldn't feel the energy in my body. And I probably spent a little bit of time in both of those things, experiences, out of the body and highly logical, analytical. Everybody in this group knows that I'm a recovered engineer. So
Recovering engineer.
we're on the recovered side, but yes.
Yes.
So yeah, the power of and the difference in the quality of life that we have when we are in our body and we're connected and we're in touch. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So, the life of the body is, really essential to being a healthy, happy human. And it's essential for creating that platform where you can discover your authentic and true self. So if you're not including your body, your heart, your mind, your will, and your spirit in that integrative process, then you're never going to get to the full promise of your true self, the full promise of what the mystics have been telling us for over 5,000 years of who you are at soul level.
Right.
So I want to talk about, a lot of people will say, oh, Big Alan, I want to be my authentic self. I want to be my true self. And it's like, oh, great. There's pathways for that. And evolutionary mystic meditation is one of the primary tools that I use to help people, one, wake up to their true self, and then what I call heal up to their true self, and then show up as their true selves. And clever, huh? Don't you like that?
What's that? You should be a marketing guy.
Yeah, I should be. But when I am not embodying my true self, what happens is I live with at least a low grade anxiety. There's a fear, there's a sense of being scared by the world. If I'm not embodying my true self, then I am riddled with self-doubt. I'm second guessing myself and questioning my choices. Or I'm just confused. I don't know what to do, and I'm overwhelmed, and so I don't do much of anything except spin. And so that's the problem that I see with a lot of my students and clients and friends is they're afraid to be who they really are. They don't say what they really mean. They don't speak their truth with love. They don't make choices that are in line with their own values and integrity. They're confused, they're overwhelmed, or they're just second guessing their choices. So, and I mean, I went through all that. I mean, as I was a methamphetamine IV drug user for many, many years in my life at one point. I'm 30 years sober today, but I know what it's like to be afraid to speak my own truth and afraid to stand in my own power and my own values. And so, I know what it's like to live in that place of darkness.
Yeah, and be afraid to feel. So many, including me, I was conditioned. Be a big girl. Don't be sad. Suck it up. Soldier on. It's that New England puritanical, stoic woman energy. that came down to me from both sides of my lineage. And it's, and when you got that, it's really hard to feel it. It's almost as if you have to retrain your body to allow in those sensations because you're so used to not having them. You don't even recognize them. I didn't.
Right. Well, and again, that's we learn to be who our parents expect us to be. And for most of us in the United States and Western culture, it's like, do not feel the intensity of our emotions. Do not feel certain emotions. It's like, oh, anger bad, sadness bad, you know. And so we repress and constrict and lock that energy of those emotions down so they cannot move. Well, here's the thing. They're there and they're accumulating at an intensity, but it's below our level of consciousness. And so that's why there are those moments of intense disconnection, or those energies and emotions explode.
Explode. I've experienced that one a few times.
Right. Well, and I mean, and again, that's how we're taught in our family of origin, how to respond to our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And so a mystic, a modern mystic, an evolutionary mystic, can be present in their bodies to every emotion that happens in the moment, and then begin to skillfully work with the chronic negative emotions that come up, to embrace them with love, embrace them so that until only love remains.
Yeah, and that's so powerful because when for me, I felt like I was leaking anger. Like it would just kind of eke out a little bit more than appropriate when there was something that was supposed to be okay to be angry at. And I was always so surprised because I didn't think that I was capable of anger. And
Right.
and then working with you and going through this process and realizing, oh, I've just done a really nice job of holding it down all these years and being and all of a sudden being able to acknowledge it and feel it and then feel it leave. That was the most profound thing.
Right. I used to think that if I ever got angry, if I ever let that anger out in any small amount, I would explode and I wouldn't stop erupting like a volcano for a dozen years. And I also felt that way about grief. It's like if I really felt the sadness that was in my body, having survived the AIDS epidemic, that if I started crying, I would never stop crying.
I felt
But here's the thing: the intelligence of our soul that knows what we can truly handle, when we really start to presence our own experience in the moment, and we really start to presence any energy in our body, but particularly emotions, it's only going to let up as much as we can handle in the moment. And yeah, I mean, I might have to hold on. I was like, whoo, that's an intense one. But it's like, but I can handle it. So as we develop our skills to being present in the moment, then that healing mechanism within our soul starts to let more and more up, because we can then presence it and let it go. And we never have to experience that quality of emotion or that karma or that experience again.
Yeah, and the way our body protects us and allows it little bits at a time. As you know, I don't think I've ever told anybody in this group this before, but when I first met Ellen, I couldn't cry. I had gotten so shielded or numb to the energy of grief that, I mean, a toilet paper commercial, remember the one with the little cute kitties? Like that would make me tear up, but I couldn't actually cry. I didn't cry when my dad died, and because it was just too hard to feel it. It was too scary to feel it, and just, yeah, the fear that if I started, I would never stop.
And whatever that emotion is that you're afraid of, it's locked into your body. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a reservoir of it that must be faced, that must be present. I want to give you one of my favorite stories. There was the Dalai Lama was in Dharamsala, India, at his headquarters there, and he was giving a retreat on the initiation of the Bodhisattva of compassion, which is a very beautiful, powerful Tibetan ritual of initiation. And it had been a beautiful day, very sunny and clear in Dharamsala, and the Dalai Lama was in a wonderful mood and laughing. And then at a certain point, the door opened in the back, and a monk came to the front of the room and whispered into the Dalai Lama ear a message. And as the Dalai Lama listened, he began to weep and to cry and let this incredible wave of emotion and sadness move through him. And the people in the audience were watching and was like, oh my God, what could possibly have made the Dalai Lama react this way? And he continued to cry and to feel his emotion. And then at the end, and as you know, any emotion is like a thunderstorm. It starts, it grows to a climax, and then it dissipates. And when that incredible sadness and grief left the Dalai Lama, he raised his head, looked at the audience, wiped his eyes, and said, the Chinese have just executed 100 Tibetan monks and 100 Tibetan nuns. Please let us pray for the Chinese. So it's not that as a modern mystic that we don't have emotions, but we have the skill set to presence them from that place of compassion and wisdom, and then skillfully be able to choose what's the next right step for my true self and my soul purpose and my destiny in the world.
Yeah, and moving that energy, it makes such a difference on a physical level as well as that spiritual level. I mean, I released quite a bit of weight as I released my anger and as I released that sadness and grief that I had just buried so deeply. And it also helped with clarity on my life purpose.
Well, right. And so, you know, we've been talking about true self, and a lot of people in the world talk about authentic selves, and they're trying to figure out who that is from their three-dimensional personal self. Well, I'm here to tell you that ain't going to happen. You're not going to get a clear picture on who you really are from the limited qualities of who you've been. So you have to move beyond your personal self into the mystical states of consciousness. And so your true self does two important things. Your true self embodies infinite stillness so that you can, through the actual sensations of your body, experience infinite peace and infinite stillness. And the flip side of that is your true self embodies divine love. It is that infinite unconditional love of the Divine Mother. It is that fierce compassion of the goddesses of compassion. And they're embodied. And so the dance between infinite stillness and divine love really is the generator of your life. And then how you make that alive through the bones and the marrow and the connective tissues and the muscles of your body. And it's that dance that reveals your soul purpose and your unique destiny. So that's just what I want to say about who you are. And the mystics have been writing about that and dancing about that and praying about that and fasting about that for over 5,000 years. Very, very well charted. So.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And it's a easier way. You have this gift of distilling things down into a way that you don't need to read the thousands and thousands of books because you have. I know that. I've been to your house. I've seen them.
Yeah.
But you have consolidated or distilled it into a container that somebody who doesn't have the level of experience that you do, or maybe they do, but it's a different way of looking at it. For me, it was like when you were clearing off the rain on a window so I could see it clearer and understand
Right,
it better.
right. Well, I've been studying the mystical traditions since 1979. I know I don't look it, but yes. Um, but there's a difference in academically studying something and fascinated with it and learning it, and then moving
Mhm.
to the experience of it. And that's what I want to say to you. It's one thing to think about your true self. It is another to experience your true self. It's another thing to fantasize about your soul purpose. It is another thing to experience it and have that sense of certainty of, oh, this is my reason for being. This is why I'm here. And then what's my destiny? How does my true self and my soul purpose show up in the world to address the problems that we face in our world today with skill, with courage, with presence? And what you teach, Carolyn, is intuition. And so, every modern mystic, every, I call them rascally saint, every revolutionary sage, every radical seer, whatever you choose to call yourself at your very, very best enlightened self, we are an oracle. We're a vehicle for our intuition. We're a vehicle for that voice of God to come through us and direct us to the next right step, to help the people that we're here to help, to nourish the things in the world that we're here to nourish, to serve the evolution of humanity in the ways that we are uniquely destined to serve.
Yeah, and when you understand that, and it's almost like something clicks inside of our body. For me, it was like this. Like I'd been looking at the world just a slightly off kilter or something, and then when going through this process and doing this work and doing all the work that I've done, it's like it locks in at this true north, really connected space, divine masculine, divine feminine, and all of a sudden you can just feel the energy running through you and your heart knows the answer.
But it's that being grounded and anchored in and through the
Mhm.
body that allows the heart and the mind to open and the soul to shine so clearly.
Yeah.
So, I talked about that. Oh, at soul level, I'm brighter than 10,000 suns, and then I'm born into a body and I become somebody I'm expected to be. But as, like a butterfly that has been wrapped in a cocoon, as I break through all those expectations, all those things that I've learned, all those resentments, all those regrets, all those preferences, as I break through that and emerge into the sunlight, emerge into my true self, I'm embodying that light of 10,000 suns. And I am a radiant lighthouse of light and love in the world that cannot be eclipsed because I'm grounded on that foundation of my own body and the certainty of my soul.
I'll take some.
Yeah. And, the evolutionary mystic meditation is one of the tools, my primary tool
Mhm.
for one, helping you experience that in your body in real time. And so we're not just talking about it. So,
Right. Yeah, and I've always had a really hard time with the traditional meditation, the sitting in peace, for me, walking meditation and having some movement always made it easier for me to connect in. And I love your meditation where you incorporate the tapping to, it's a movement. It's that mind body physical connection that allows that deeper anchoring in of the energy and clearing away what is blocking us from connecting. It's just so
right.
fabulous.
Right. And what I want to say is that, what you're describing, what most people think of as meditation, is a way of focusing the mind, which is a very important skill to have. That
Yes.
unshakable concentration and focus. The kind of meditation that I teach really is about how do we open up into the expandedness and vastness of our soul. And in traditional terms, that would be an absorption meditation, which is different than concentration. It's instead of laser focusing the attention, it's allowing the attention to go as vast as possible through as many dimensions as possible, and just resting in the stillness and or the love or the integration of those that we find there. And the tapping and working with all the different parts or subpersonalities of us helps us go there very quickly. Even a person who's never meditated before in their life, or feels like they haven't successfully meditated, in 40 minutes or so can be moving into that more and more spaciousness, more and more calm, more and more peace.
Yeah, that's so powerful. It makes it a for me, it helped me also ground my energy and feel the energy in my body. It was a really big difference. And I remember being really surprised as we started working in some of the higher level energies, that when we were doing the tapping, I would actually pop out of that energy because of that mind body. It was more like I needed it for, some of the basement voices, as you call them, resistance and things like that. So it's just been fascinating to be able to feel and know the right step of the energy to be in
Right,
and how to
right.
work with it. Yeah. Good.
Are there any questions from the group that we
Let,
can answer?
I have got it going here on my phone. I've been kind of watching. So we've got some comments from Denise. She says, yes to soul purpose, leadership with compassion. And living in soul or thinking mind was most of her life. This work with Alan brought me into empowerment. She liked wake up, heal up, and show up. Kudos to me. You've transformed tremendously, Carolyn, so much grounded in its transition to feel intensity of the emotion. We've got a few people here with us, but I am not seeing any questions.
All right. Well, great. Well, howdy, Denise. Great to be with you again today. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got a few other people. We've got Gail here live and Trish.
Hi, Gail. Hi, Trish. Thank you.
You have any questions, please type them in there and we'd be happy. Well, Alan will answer them for you.
You want to give people the link to come experience evolutionary meditation? I'm doing a couple of demonstrations with different people over the next couple days. And so if you'd like to experience what Carolyn and I have been talking about, I'd love to share it with you.
Yes, I may have to add the links in at the end because I'm watching on my phone. So I will add the links in there though. So why don't you tell them who the people are that you're speaking with?
I believe we're talking about Sunday night with Ronda Renee, who's the creator of Divine Navigation, and she's leading a demonstration for her tribe, and you are absolutely invited if you want to join us. So click the link for Ronda. And then on Monday night, one of both mine and Carolyn's dear friends, Joan Ranquette, is hosting a meditation event. And if you can't be at either one of those live, sign up for one and you will get the replay. So you can experience it at your own leisure. Because again, we can talk. The left brain, the mind loves to talk. But it's when you experience your true self resting in infinite stillness, when you experience your true self resting in eternal unconditional love, then you've had an experience. So when you come back to your normal everyday life, you have to reorganize your experience. You can never ever be who you were before that experience. Your psyche will rearrange itself.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the most profound things for me with this is just the energy and the power of, I guess, the collective consciousness. When you're in a room, my first experience with you was at one of Margaret Lynch's events, and I don't how many people were in there? There was over 100 people in
Yeah,
there.
there was 100 people. So when you're in a room with people, and Carolyn mentioned earlier, different levels of resistance. It's like, oh, some people can move into stillness easily, but they can't move into compassion or love. Or some people can move into love very easily, but they can't move into stillness. And so there's different levels of resistance, and there's ways to working with that very quickly. But when you're in a room of 100 people that are in that energy, it is a delicious experience. And I know Carolyn and Denise came to Houston some years ago for a 3-day retreat where for 3 days we immersed ourselves in this energy and the different qualities, because the mystics have said, oh no, there's not just infinite stillness, or there's not just divine love, but there's all these different qualities like facets of a diamond, and they all have a unique sensory experience, and they're all delicious. But then you get to really build out, at my truest, most enlightened, most fabulous self, I have all of these qualities, and I can skillfully tap them and bring them to the moment to serve my soul purpose and to serve my unique destiny.
Yeah, and it is so incredibly profound. The last time we were together in February, again, we started every morning with this, and it just set the energy. And you could tell throughout the day the people that joined you, because they were more present, they were more focused, they were more embodied, because they had connected all the way through and experienced, that stillness outside the body and that divine love that's available to all of us. It's just so amazing.
Yeah. Well, just circling back to the healthy, happy human,
Mhm.
I mean, you could spend a lifetime just mastering that. And if you do that, nobody would blame you if you stop there. But I really think in terms of the 3 essential skills of being a healthy, happy human are to recenter, recharge, and reset. And that recentering is, comes from the martial arts. And if you take your hands and rub them together real quick, and you bring your thumbs and put them in your navel and just let your palms rest. So that would be the second chakra in the chakra energy center. In Chinese, that's called the Dantian. And in Japanese, it's called the Hara. And that is your energetic center, your gravitational center, it's your physical center. And so there's a whole process of just centering and coming into the body and sensing the body in your center.
Mm.
And then recharging is what I talked about. We've got 5 different main conduits of energy: physical, emotional, mental, moral, and spiritual. Body, heart, mind, will, spirit. And they're all different qualities of energy. And there are rituals that restore our physical energy. That's eating well and sleeping well and moving our bodies well. Our emotional energy is, helping people and being with our emotions, and being with people who raise our emotions. Our mental energy is like, can I create a sustained, realistic optimism for my life? Realistic optimism. And then will is, are the choices that I make in my life in alignment with my true values and my true self. And then spiritual, all the different techniques that you teach about raising the energetic vibration and frequency. So we have to use all 5. And here's a little secret tip. People wonder why healing is only partial when they use particular techniques, because some techniques work really, really well in one of these 5 conduits of energy through the body. And so what I know about trauma particularly is trauma lives in all 5 of those realms. And so a healing must address all 5: body, heart, mind, will, and spirit, for it to be complete and thorough. And so that's recentering and recharging. And then resetting is working with the different subpersonalities and voices and parts, and really consciously choosing who's the best part of me for this moment. How can I bring my best self, my truest self, my most skillful self to this moment? And maybe that's my engineer self that really needs just some left brain thinking about it. And maybe it's my spiritual self that has explored the spiritual dimensions and realms and can communicate with the angels and deliver a message from one of the archangels right into my heart to design an action that I need to take in the world. So, it's and whatever your truest, best part is in that moment.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you deliberately said the word consciously, because I think one of the energies that a lot of us can get into is having that unconscious energy or subconscious energy run the show, and we aren't even aware that it's happening. We think it's just us, but it's not. And being able to discern kind of just like almost like the flavors of our own energy allows us to really live in our own power, to be that centered person and to show up more authentically, because we do feel it. We know who we are.
Right. So often when we are with an evolutionary mystic meditation and we move into that infinite stillness, when I ask people, what do you sense? What do you notice? So often people say, oh, I feel home. I feel home.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I am. This is where I belong. So absolutely. And I agree. To do it consciously is the secret sauce there, because most of us live our life by default. We
Yeah.
are being run by our old programming, which is unconscious by nature. And so, reclaiming the light of 10,000 suns through my body is a conscious process. And so that is the secret sauce, Carolyn.
Yay, it is. I love it. So Denise had posted a question. She said, are you still doing the David Avocado Wolfe on Saturday?
I am at noon.
Okay.
So
So you'll have to get me the link for that one, okay?
I guess I will. Yes, I'll do that after we complete our time today.
Wonderful. Thank you. And let me see if there's any other. Denise does have some comments in here. And she said she's got some friends that are registering to talk to you or to see you. So yay.
Fantastic. Have the
Yeah.
experience with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be other people that will register to get. Uh, there's nothing like experiencing it. Even reading the information and seeing a little demo. It's really something to be savored and to be experienced, because it is an experience. And it's a life altering one.
Right.
So
My friend Helen talks about you can talk all day long about chocolate, but until you taste it, you don't know the experience of it. And evolutionary mystic meditation is very much like that. We
absolutely.
can talk, use beautiful poetic words to describe it, but when you experience it, and I will say, like with David Wolfe's meditation, I know that there are well over 700 people that are signed up for Saturday afternoons meditation. And my experience is about 90% of the people who show up will have a full-on experience of their true self. That's how powerful and effective this technique is if you just go with it. And I always call it's this weird tapping meditation that I teach, because it is weird. It's very different than any meditation you've
Mhm.
ever imagined.
Yeah.
But if you will let go, you will have the opportunity and experience of transcending your normal everyday self that is so obsessed with, do I look good? Do I feel good? Am I doing it right? Yada, yada, yada. And just open up into that true self of vast spaciousness and infinite love.
Yeah. And then it's coming home.
And then bring it home,
Yeah.
because once you experience that, you bring a little of it back.
Yeah.
And that question is what we call recentering. It's like,
Mhm.
let me expand into my true self and bring a little bit more back. Expand into my true self, bring a little bit more back until that center evolves and transmute until all of a sudden this wild, weird experience of infinite peace becomes your new normal. That's what I want for you, Carolyn, and Denise, and Grace, and all the other people who are listening to this and will hear this. If
Yeah.
that's what you want for yourself, I absolutely want that for you too.
Yeah. And you can absolutely lead us there and teach us how to do it. So wonderful. So I will put all of those links in there in the comments, in the notes, so you guys can get your own experience of this.
So
Yeah.
come play in the fields of the infinite. That's what I like to say.
Oh, I like that.
All right. Well,
Wonderful.
thank you everybody for your time and your attention, and do come play with us.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Come play with us. Thank you, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.
There is a few moments delay, so I need to